Hello, and welcome to the darkest timeline.
Film podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Darkest Timeline. I'm David,
I'm Ian. I'm Dylan.
and a certain son of a bitch is still not here.
Well, I mean, he's out of town. And we know he's out of town.
You can only be busy so many weeks in a row.
Awfully convenient.
This is a Friday night. Who does something on a Friday night?
No, this is a Sunday night. We had to
Oh, right.
reschedule.
It's a weekend. You're supposed to be lonely and bored on a weekend,
No,
right?
he's married, though.
Oh, you're right. He's supposed to be lonely with someone else on a weekend, right?
He is. That's why he's not here. Or in town.
So today we watched, an okay movie by the name of Red Sonja.
Sonja.
Sonia.
It was entirely mediocre.
It was weird.
100%.
It had some interesting bits. It was strange. It was very mid 80s.
It went by quick.
Yeah. It wasn't a slow burn like some awful movies we've watched.
Man, first big positive. It did not drag.
Yeah.
Except that dragon fight. That thing went on forever.
The mechanical dragon fight.
The
Yeah.
mechanical sea dragon monster thingy fight.
They could have cut most of that
They could have cut that fight.
entirely.
Yeah, it really didn't matter.
I mean, it was just there so Calidor could catch back up with them.
Oh yeah. So this movie is a Conan movie. Like it's a Conan movie.
Spin-off.
It's not even a spin-off of the Conan movies, but it's a Conan movie because the second Conan movie didn't do so great. So they didn't want to tie this movie to a Conan movie.
I feel like the one big flaw in that was casting Arnold Schwarzenegger in a lead role.
Yeah, right.
Basically as Conan.
He's Lord Calidor or something like that, and he's dressed like Conan. He has Conan's cod piece. He has Conan's hair.
Conan's sword.
He has Conan's face.
Kind of hard to do.
Yeah, and
The world had previously had two Conans that looked exactly like that.
And this movie takes place in the Hyborian Age, which is of those books that Conan is based on.
It is the completely made-up time period in which Conan takes place.
But it's not a Conan movie.
No.
So, broad strokes. One of you want to pitch this movie to me?
Okay, so Red Sonja is not a lesbian. This is important because she turns down the queen and then is raped by guards. This is the start of her hero's journey.
Quickly
Oh,
we
sorry.
say.
She apparently ends up training with a bunch of Asian dudes.
Where she masters everything.
Yeah, and she becomes the master, and the Grand Master compliments
The
her.
master of masters.
The master of masters at sword fighting, which, never really shows. I mean, she has some sword fights, but she gets her ass kicked, kind of.
But no, she never gets stabbed
She never gets stabbed.
She gets cut.
by magic.
It was magic that cut her.
Okay, but we see that she's been trained by people, and then there's Calidor, who's riding in a field for a long period of time and reaches a bridge that's out and doesn't make it to a temple where the big, evil, glowing ball of power.
It is not evil. It was sent from the god of gods or whatever. They like saying the thing of things in this movie.
Yeah, the thing of things.
And they were the priestesses were enclosing that ball that God had given them, the thing that had created the world or something, right?
Yeah.
It's a talisman of light.
It was
Talisman.
too-
You think talisman? I usually think a small stone.
That's a hand gesture. The listeners do not know what you're doing.
Oh, like a stop sign that's thick and made of rock but smaller.
Anyway, evil lesbian queen.
But it's not that. It's a
She's not a
giant
lesbian.
glowing ball.
Yeah, she is.
She is?
Yeah, that was like the.
Did they establish that?
When you were talking at the beginning of the movie.
She wanted Sonya for herself.
And Sonya turned her down and then and cut her face And then the queen got angry.
I missed that part.
Yeah, you did. Anyway, that's why they hate each other.
There's a new level to this movie now.
Yeah, I guess you did miss. Why are you staring at me?
I'm engaged with your conversation.
Oh, you're really creepy staring at me. Evil lesbian queen steals the powerful stone that could create and or destroy worlds and uses it to destroy a few cities. That's not really on screen, but, they say it happens, and we see some aftermath. And Sonya and Calidor try and find her, and eventually they fight some monsters and crap and team up with Bran and Hodor and fight more people, and then they go to the evil queen's lair, and the lair is already falling down because they're like powering up the stone too much because of the hubris of man or woman. And we're watching this on Mother's Day, by the way, which is weird something. And then Sonya kills the evil woman, and they all escape. There's like several points in the last couple of minutes where it's like, no, go on without me. Then they save the person. They're like, okay, let's keep going. And there's another trap. Oh no, go on without me. Oh, let's save the person and keep going. And then we've left, and everything turned out better than expected.
That was brilliant. You brought a tear to my eye.
Was it a tear about the English language?
Did you get sand in there or something?
Yes.
Damn sand pit we're doing the podcast in.
That's true. This movie opens on rape.
No, it opens on text.
That's true.
It does open on text.
It
There's
opens...
a text that's like, they tell you, like, Red Sonja's a legend and she's amazing and her stories are awesome and they can only get better. Our story begins here. They're like, her legend is amazing. Let's do her origin instead. I believe the exact words were, this is how the legend began. Come on.
This is the part people don't talk about. Because it wasn't as good. Yeah.
Man, they're saying, like, man, if we had a Red Sonja too, it'd be awesome.
Sonya had a wild mullet, though.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
for being told or being mentioned how almost all the time in the movie, just how beautiful she is. She was not a pretty lady.
No, she wasn't.
No, she was not attractive.
She was like a Nebraska 7.
Yeah. Absolutely Nebraska 7.
Wow, I'd actually, yeah.
No, Nebraska, she might be a little higher.
Sorry, everyone from Nebraska.
Again.
Man, there's way too many times during the entire run of this podcast that we've had to apologize to Nebraska.
Well,
This is not the first time.
you can't have everything.
We shouldn't have to apologize. They know what they've done.
They haven't done anything. And that's the problem.
So what do you guys think was the best part of this movie?
The best part of this movie? God, I don't know. There were some pretty neat things in this movie. We're gonna have more to say that we liked about this movie than Genesis. That's for damn sure.
This was significantly better than Terminator Genesis.
That said, Arnold was better in Terminator Genesis.
Yeah, that's true.
There are things to hate in this movie. The warrior showgirls in the beginning. That was amazing. I mean, they were badass, and they chopped dudes' heads off.
They held their own.
They held their own pretty well until they were like flanked from two sides and got defeated. But they had like weird headdresses on the whole time, and they were wearing like non-skirts. They were showgirls. They were dressed up like if there was a Conan showgirl like review or whatever thing, they would have looked like that.
I would like to say right off the bat that my absolute favorite part of this movie was the headdresses. So ornate across the board.
Oh yeah, for everyone.
They go to several different clans, and each clan has their own elaborate headdress. It's almost like what's that movie?
The Asian warrior clan had those really cool headdresses.
Well, they had headdresses and giant shoulder things.
Right. Did you ever see the movie Warriors? The old
oh yeah.
Yeah,
With,
the gangs of New York.
the gangs in New York.
And like every gang is themed.
Yeah.
is very themed.
I felt like this was the medieval barbarian version of that, where every time you go, oh, these are the people who have birds on their head, or here's the people who are so evil they have an additional skull right on the top of their head.
It's painted black.
Yep.
Yeah, those guys have to think about what side they're on at some point, right? Yeah.
Right.
And then we have a skull on our heads. Like on our forehead, there's another skull. Maybe we should think about what we're doing and how we're going about it.
What is the retirement package for the people who have the little suns on top of their head?
Right. And it seems like their country's a lot nicer. I mean, those guys were living in the I can't remember what it was specifically, but it was the country of eternal darkness.
Right.
And every single thing
Eternal night.
Whatever. Every single thing in the country of eternal night was a metal album cover.
Yeah, no, much of this
Everything.
movie could have...
There was an enormous dead unicorn bridge.
Yes.
I think
Well,
that's
it was
my
a
favorite part of
skeleton.
it. That's my It was a gigantic, like a 300-foot long unicorn.
Yes.
Dead across a chasm.
Yeah, but if you had you picture that from the side and there's some people walking over it holding a sword, metal album cover. You picture the metal, like, robotic dragon thing
And
just
I don't
coming
mean-
out of the water, metal album cover.
And we're not talking about like present day metal. I mean like some like power metal from the present day, but like 80s metal. That's a straight up 80s metal album cover.
Yes.
All over this movie.
I felt like this movie missed the mark by not having... By not having a guitarist like following Conan around doing power licks all the time, like wee.
You mean
or just-
Calidor.
Yes.
Or just having a very anachronistic soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should recut this with
Awesome music.
awesome music.
You know, well, speaking of that unicorn, the sets in this movie were really cool. Like, all of them were really well done and interesting.
And super elaborate that harkened back to like the Cecil B. DeMille style of cinematography or of shooting.
Yeah, they were, I mean, I had heard that this movie was like a step back and it was like a safe movie. And I had a thought about that during the movie when, like, in shot number 3, you could clearly see Sonya's boobs.
You get the single one nip.
But it's because in the 80s, as compared to other movies in the 80s, nah, it's not sexual or violent. But like for today's standards, yeah, I mean, there was plenty of blood and there's like heads being chopped off
Well, there were
several
like
times.
2 heads that got chopped off, and like you see the sword swing, and then you just get the camera angle of the head spinning into the air.
That is also one of my favorite parts of the movie.
That's my favorite part of like any 80s movie, when someone's head gets cut off like that.
I wish that they would have cut off someone who had one of the elaborate headdresses on,
Oh yeah.
but
Well, it would have just gone spinning out of control. The center of gravity would have been all out of whack.
yeah, just good stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
The
There was that gigantic statue of that what was it? I have it
Was
somewhere in
the
here.
bull a giant lizard?
Whoa. There was like a 30-foot tall statue of a bull having sex with a dragon or something. And that was like where Calidor decided to make camp one night, just like under the weird statue.
I think I said it better.
Right, but it was a odd like little. It looked like Stonehenge,
Yeah.
but instead of just stones, each stone was carved into an elaborate beast. It just so happened that he picked the stone that was a bull raping a dragon.
Whoa, you don't know about that.
I've got to say, though, that looked like it was out in the middle of nowhere. Nothing's nearby. Like, what used to be there? Because it's obviously a ruin.
Yeah, everywhere you go, there
That's
is a
true.
massive ruin. There's when you see Red Sonja fighting for the first time with the Asian people, there's the giant man teabagging the entrance.
Yeah, that's true.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, such a weird statue.
But then over and over and over again, you get statue after statue. You find like the snotty little Bran the Lesser
Yeah.
on the hand of a statue that was just destroyed.
Yeah.
Well, Bran the lesser Asian flavor.
Bran being the kid from Game of Thrones. For people who aren't up to date, he's
Crippled
the
kid.
He's the cripple.
Only it's not a crippled kid in this.
Yeah, he's
we only wish he was.
he's a really good sword fighter.
He's a really
He
good sword
needs
fighter,
to
but
talk less.
I've never wanted to kill a child more in my life.
Yeah, talk less, fight more, and he would have been a better character.
And also go, yeah, way less. Please.
Okay, he as annoying as he was, he showed more character development than any character in A Good Day to Die Hard, and a G-Force, in Freddy Got Fingered,
That said,
in I Frankenstein.
no, he didn't so much show character development as promise to show character development. Because every time he's like, oh, okay, I think I'm developing my character now. In the next scene, he'd do something like a d***head again. Like, when they let him into that last room, and he gets in, they're like, gonna open the door, and he's like, I challenge you, lady who's totally beating someone I have no chance against beating. The door opening lever is right next to him.
It takes time to get out of the douchebaggery of the young.
It does.
Yeah, he needs a little bit of time. By the end, I felt that some of the things he was saying weren't really coming from his heart. Like, all the mean things was more like, I gotta keep up appearances.
I'm still a prince. He had a weird
Yeah.
idea of what a prince should be.
Also, he just wanted to go home. He was done with that day of shooting. It was just-
You know what else was cool? That fortress at the end was made of dynamite.
Why was that exploding? Because it was an earthquake. That's what was going down. There was an earthquake happening, and then the floor split open, and there was lava underneath, and then the top of the fortress exploded.
Yeah.
They were like in the bottom.
Well, you say the top of the fortress exploded. The top of the fortress exploded first, followed by every other part of the fortress.
every other floor in sequence.
Yeah. Yeah.
With no debris actually falling to the ground.
Another thing I like is something that you said, David. This movie is a better buddy cop movie than Cop Out.
So true.
Because it actually has character development between the two buddy cops of Sonja and Calidor.
Right. It's a quality movie. It's
Yeah.
a good movie.
Also, like, Red Sonja's having trouble getting out of a place. This happens multiple times in the movie. Red Sonja's having trouble. Calidor comes in and he's like, go, I'll hold them off. And you don't see him for 15 minutes. Because he's busy holding them off and then trying to catch up.
Right. But that being said, we'll get to that when we stop liking things in the movie.
I think we've stopped. I think
Have
we're
we?
basically
Is that-
done.
Are we pretty much
Can
good
I have a bridge comment, something that could be interpreted either way.
do it?
Continuity issues of this movie.
Yeah.
There are some times in this movie where I'm not one that looks for continuity issues. I just want to roll with it.
I pointed it out.
But first you get the zip line that
Oh,
the
right.
priestess goes down, and there are clearly two zip line anchors on the
Yeah,
zip line.
We
She
lost
takes-
our during that.
Yeah, she takes one of them and zip lines across the gulf across the gorge into Arnold's big muscular arms.
Well, that woman is shot with an arrow in the back while she's on it, and she holds on.
They're tough.
Yeah.
Good on her.
Yeah, she-
Also, it's Red Sonja's sister.
Yeah, but she was one of the
Who's
warrior.
actually pretty.
Yeah, she was one of the warrior showgirls that I was talking about that are just badass and held their own.
Well, she was
Yeah.
the only one that lived. Well, technically, others lived longer than her, but they were dying in the bottom of a pit.
But then you go back and there's still two zipline thingies for the bad guys.
There were three. There were
three.
totally three.
Or there's that moment towards the end where Hodor gives little Bran his
Bone club.
femur club that he's been using to fight with. And
Like
Bran,
the femur of a giant.
Yeah, and Bran's like, "Thank you, friend."
We should be clear, those are not their real names in the movie.
Right.
Yeah, we just don't remember or care.
Short round? Should I call him that?
I'm fine with Bran and Hodor.
I'm fine with Short Round and Hodor.
Short
That's actually
Round and
slightly
Hodor.
more accurate.
So Hodor gives Short Round the bone.
Oh, Dave.
Just short round
femur.
goes.
How about that?
Short round goes into the giant stone sphincter, and
Which was a thing.
which was a thing. But then it cuts back to Hodor, and he's got another bone, and so somehow maybe he broke it in half.
No, it was always half a thing. It was pointy on one.
Maybe he had two, because that kid's was definitely shorter.
Yeah, but he probably just couldn't hold the other one, so they just made him a smaller one for the shots.
Yeah, they did not care very much about continuity.
No. Also, Hodor is from New York. Everyone else is like from somewhere in the like the western side of Europe
Right.
or Asia. And he is like I got on a boat and I needed to serve somebody, so I came over here. I ended up being this prince's handmaiden, basically.
I will tell you, also, Red Sonja has gotten better with age. She's 52 now. And she just looks trendy and cool, and good on her.
Well, that was 6 years ago.
She could be dead by now.
Well, she blossomed yet again. She had a second wind.
Don't think she blossomed the first time.
Could have been Botox.
Probably was.
That's what they call second wind.
Is that a brand of Botox? Second wind.
Are we on to stuff that we did not like?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Oh my god. The evil queen's giant pet spider.
Oh! A practical effect spider.
That wasn't very good, but it was just gross enough that none of us like spiders. Apparently.
Oh, so gross and so skittery and
Yeah, just always. And then it turned toward the camera and did a little mandible, like, meh.
it was
Oh, it
gross.
was messed up, man.
Oh, it's not cool.
I do not like
I
spiders.
wouldn't want that anywhere near me. If I was like the king, I'd be like, I think the giant spiders have to go.
I hereby decree that this day and every day forth shall be Killing all the giant spiders day.
Every day is killing the giant spiders day.
Till they're all gone. If one pops back up, guess what?
Another national holiday.
Woohoo! Everyone get your pitchforks out because I am f***ing serious right now. They scare the shit out of me.
It was something I didn't like. Lady Gadron, the evil queen.
Yeah,
Wow, you actually wrote her name down?
I did.
Lady Gaga is what I thought.
Yeah.
Lady
She
Gaga.
She had like this weird face thing on and like her clothes. She was next week's Lady Gaga outfit.
Yeah.
Or, 30 years ago Lady Gaga outfit, anyway.
So what didn't you like about her?
That.
Just that she looked like Lady Gaga?
Well, and then there's...
Well, then after every line, she went, Gaga.
That is not true. Okay.
Give me the talisman, mama.
Dave. So the fight scene at the end, there's two fight scenes at the end between Sonja and Gadron. Mm-hmm. Or Gedron. And the first of those fight scenes
Gagadrin?
is stupid. Because the first one, they're fighting for a little while, and then Gedron is clearly losing, and then her sorcerer starts teleporting her around the room, and Sonja has no idea what's going on.
The sorcerer is in the room.
Yeah,
too.
the sorcerer is in the room, just like
behind a bunch of
table,
beakers and
behind a table, just kind of doing stuff, and Sonja just like, kind of like, please don't notice me, and then he starts using magic to cut Sonja, which is when Sonja looks around, sees the magician.
No, she sees him because the queen is like, huh, and looks over at him and like gives him a wink or whatever, and Sonja's like, what you looking at? Oh, he's doing this.
Yeah. Lady Gedron is so cocky during that fight. Like, you will never defeat me and my teleporting ways. And then she just winks at her sorcerer, And Sonja puts the pieces together finally. It's like, oh, the sorcerer is teleporting her around. And then when Sonja is killing the sorcerer and she chops his head off, and that's one of the heads that flies in the air in slow motion or whatever.
She basically just walks over there and chops his head off.
Yeah, because he's just like, oh no, she saw me. I'm not prepared for this.
I couldn't possibly teleport myself away.
Yeah. But the look in Gedren's face when Sonja's walking over to the horses is like, oh no, I think she figured it out. What do I do now? And then she runs away. I hated that. That was so stupid.
It was really dumb.
So rule number 1 of playing Dungeons and Dragons is that you always geek the wizard first. You find the wizard, you kick his ass, because he only has D4 hit points, and then you go for the barbarian, because they have D12 hit points.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah?
Quit being such a damn nerd.
I swear to God. I can only take so much nerd in the podcast. I know there's only one.
Half our viewers like it.
I don't know about my dad. He could.
Yeah, so it seems like her magic could have been powered by swagger. It was it was so thick. When she gets teleported, she doesn't just get teleported to the other side of the room. She gets teleported to her throne where she's lying sideways and leaning on the hilt of her sword.
You know what? That sorcerer really knows what he's doing if he can teleport people in poses.
Yeah.
Apparently not, though, because when he uses the giant YouTube machine,
Oh, right.
it starts on the wrong channel.
Yeah. Of just some topless woman dancing.
Right, but it was so blurry. I'm not even sure it was a woman.
It was.
It was a woman. It was really blurry.
I think that was just because you were drinking.
And then and everyone's looking at him just like, come on, man. And he just fiddles with something and it goes to the right channel. I'm like, why is that a joke in this movie?
It just defaulted to the last thing I was searching for. I'm really sorry, guys.
Promise I'll clean my browser history next time.
This is so embarrassing. In front of the queen and everybody. Oh, the giant glowing rock.
I have to cut in with the best part of the movie. The absolute best, and you'll agree with me.
Okay.
You'll agree with me. The first man that Sonja fights at the gates to that thing, he will not let her pass, and he wants her to like pleasure him or whatever in exchange for like passage through the gates, and she's like, I'll fight you instead, and he says, I've fought 177 men. Only one survives, and he has no legs.
Yeah, 100% the best line in the movie.
So my question about that was, did he have legs before?
Yeah.
Or he was just a really talented swordsman?
And managed to get away somehow without any legs.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's awful.
That is an amazing line, and it was delivered. It was the best delivered line in the movie too.
And it caught all of us completely off guard.
Because the weakest part of this movie is the acting.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Everyone is awful.
it's terrible.
It's terrible. It's just
They make up for it slightly with set pieces, but still.
and the sword fighting. The sword fighting was like when they were doing like barbarian fighting and just swinging swords at each other. It was like some brutal hard slashes.
If the acting was as good as the sword fighting or the set pieces,
This would have been Lord of the Rings.
yep, pretty much.
Really, I'm not sure good acting could have saved this movie from just being kind of bad.
I don't know. There were some lines that they'd say that if it was said better, it would have punched it up.
I mean,
like,
Arnold just
come on,
had-
you imbecile! Do you want to live forever?
Come on, you MSL, do you want to live forever?
Do you want to live forever? Hoo-ha! Rico's Roughnecks!
That's kind of what I was going for. Yeah. Do you apes want to live forever?
I like that movie.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, that's a good one. We need to watch that for fun someday.
Yeah,
Just for
Yeah.
fun, not tell anyone about it. Not gonna record our thoughts for the whole internet.
We're not
to
gonna
hear.
watch. We're not gonna purposefully watch movies we like and do a podcast about it. That would be fun.
yeah. I don't want to go on a tangent there, but it is a really good. And the fact that they've been unable to make a sequel that is half as good
Yeah.
really just underscores how good that movie was.
Marauders was okay. The third one.
It was
Okay, but
okay.
it still wasn't as good as the first one.
No, it's just
Lightning in a bottle, man.
exactly.
Lightning in a bottle. And that movie was garbage, too. It has so much wrong with it, but it's so good in every way.
I'm hoping the new Independence Day is going to be sort of like that.
You think they're going to catch the same lightning in the bottle they did with the first Independence Day? Without Will Smith?
No, I'm hoping they catch lightning in the bottle of the quality of Starship Troopers.
Oh, that's different. Okay, back to this movie.
Back to Red Sonja.
Sonia or Sonja.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about something I liked in the movie, or caught me off guard every time it happened. Arnold's eyes every time he was about to start a fight. When he jumped into fights, literally. Or that one time he jumped out from behind like 4 dudes. He was just like, bam, Sonia! Just slashed
Did he say
dude.
Sonia? I thought he was just like, ah!
I think he said Sonia. And then he said something like, Red Sonja escaped!
He's got a good, fierce look.
Just his eyes go, no, and you're like, I can see the whites of his eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty good stuff.
He has a crazy look in his
All right, I want to share a story with you.
What? Is it
What?
about the movie? Or
No, it's
is-
about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
I almost ran into Arnold Schwarzenegger this morning. I was driving down the street, and he was on his bike, and he blew a red stop sign, or not stop sign, a red light to take a
Is it
left.
a red stop sign? Or is there
Yeah.
other colors of stop signs?
He took a left, blowing through a red light at like 8 in the morning on a Sunday, and I almost hit him. I was the only person on the street. I could have killed
Well,
Arnold.
besides Arnold.
You almost killed Arnold Schwarzenegger this morning.
I could have killed Arnold Schwarzenegger. I could have terminated the Terminator today. I chose not to,
You chose not to.
but it was my choice to make.
Did you honk?
No, at first I was like, is that... He's old. Yeah, it is. Arnie!
Did you say
Learn to
Arnold?
drive.
Did you scream
Learn
at
to
him?
bike.
This was all internal monologue.
You should have driven up next to him. Like, I've seen Genesis. I hated it, but I love you.
His name is on my degree for my diploma.
Oh, because he was governor.
Because he was governor when I was
Yeah.
at UCLA. Yeah.
Wow. So you have his autograph then?
Yes, I do.
It's like a printed on one. He didn't sign it himself.
Yeah. Okay, so back to stuff we didn't like. So something we didn't mention about the evil green, or the God-sent green ball of destruction and death.
And
Called a
creation.
talisman.
and
And
life.
creation and dynamite. When only women can touch this ball for, well, it's Mother's Day, so only women can touch the ball, which is also technically phallic if you think about it.
Everything in this movie is phallic.
Everything in this movie is wildly phallic.
Yeah.
Everything is sticks. Everything is long rods,
Cones.
cones, and everything. All the things in this movie.
We only really noticed that because of Dave.
Yeah.
That's totally his fault.
Why you guys gotta claim my good stuff and pin the bad stuff on me?
Hey, you're the one who kept pointing stuff out and going, that's phallic.
Why can't you just let it be a thing, man?
Well,
Let
you
us
were
know.
you were the one trying to make everything a thing.
No, everything was a thing. There was a lot of penises in this movie.
Well,
Well, there were a lot of male actors.
Right, but they were all like imaginary penises. They weren't like-
anyway, so the ball of goodness and death. Only women can touch it, and if a man touches it, he slowly turns green from the hand up to his face, and then immediately disappears with no fanfare.
just
Nothing.
blinks out of
Yeah.
existence.
Green gone.
Yeah, like one frame he's there, one frame he's not. It's not like there's like smoke or anything or like a fizzle. It's just he's green and then he's dust.
That's-
And also, no one seemed to care. Like, everyone was looking and it was just like,
Oh,
And
he's
then,
gone now.
Right, and then the queen turns to the handmaiden woman and
Yeah.
says, "You touch it now." And the handmaiden's like, "You crazy?"
She just looked at her just like, I just shook her head like, no,
No.
that's not happening.
And then she was like, do it or die or whatever. And the handmaiden touches it, and the queen starts laughing like, ha ha ha, I got you.
Truth be told, it might not be one of your favorite parts, but I loved it, and I really wanted to see a whole bunch more people die that way.
Right?
You, go touch it.
I mean, no, that was stupid, but if a ton of people did it, it would have been hilarious.
Yeah, decapitation and just winking out of existence.
Yeah.
That would have been
It's the only way to die.
Yeah, but they could not. They didn't have that much money for effects because
When you say
everything,
effects-
everything in the movie was practical except for that.
And the river of lava.
Ian,
The River of Love.
Ian,
What?
8 frames of a guy coloring green onto a dude.
Yeah, dude, they don't
8
have time
frames,
for that.
and then the next frame he's gone.
Yeah, that takes way too much time. They did not take that much time editing this movie.
Oh, another thing about Sonja that I didn't like. I didn't like Red Sonja and Steve the bondage horse. You know,
What's his name, Steve?
Everyone's
you
name
name
is Steve.
everything Steve.
Steve was a magnificent butler, and you do not sully his name this way.
Well, this was long before Steve was.
you know,
a
I
man.
only know 7 male names, and Steve is the top amongst them.
And Ian, Dylan, and David are another 3.
There's
Brett.
Brett
Brett and Steve.
and John and Ben.
John and Ben.
There you go, Ben. There's your shout out for this episode.
Huge shout out.
But her horse is like decked out in red bondage gear, and it has like a weird red mask thing on, and it's not like horse armor, it's all like leather. It's really weird. Because it's not for protection.
It's also vaguely studded, like around the eye holes and just like places where bondage stuff would be studded.
What I thought
I
was
guess.
interesting about this movie. Okay, I got something that I liked, but it was also kind of bad, but it was kind of funny. That's basically describes the movie.
That's what this movie is.
When the evil queen takes the talisman out of the what do they call it? The vault.
Yeah, whatever.
Sure.
They then put the priestesses into the vault, and it's just a little well, and they push the priestesses into the well, and they like fall forever. They at least fall 10 stories.
Yeah.
So basically, the thing was in a plug on top of a giant endless pit.
And the pit was just so they go boom, and then instead of like moans of pain, it really sounded like they were enjoying themselves down there.
Greatly.
It was weird.
And I would say the most messed up part of this movie was like there's a key that locks the vault together, and the vault closes very slowly. But when you have the key in it, you can open or close it.
No, if when the key's in, it's opening.
Open.
When it's out, it's closing.
Right. And so as the vault is slowly closing, the evil queen throws the key into the vault, permanently killing these priestesses. And I thought that was just wicked. That was
Yeah, that was evil. Like,
evil.
Damn.
What would we do to make this movie better?
Oh, hold on. I want to give a shout out to Havelock, because it's a great city.
Havelock?
Havelock. That was.
Oh, Havelock! It's a great city.
It's a great city. Okay, so Arnold or Calidor is supposed to say we must go to Havelock. It is a great city. You know, like it's one of the it's like one of the 7 wonders of the world, like that kind of great. But it's like it's a great city.
Like it's someone you'd like to visit.
Yeah.
It's
Like-
pretty great.
4 stars on Yelp.
Yeah, like LA is a pretty great city.
Yeah,
was
that's
how he
he
said
said
it.
it. It was very strange.
Except it wasn't a great city because it was burned to the ground.
Isn't that also where they find Short Round?
Yeah, Short Round and Hodor.
Oh, shoot. So
Bran Short Round.
Bran Short Round is the leader of
And New York Hodor.
king.
great city. He's probably why it's only a great city instead of a great city.
Yeah, it's a great city. But yeah, so now,
What would you do to make it better?
exactly.
I wouldn't touch much. I thought this was a lot of fun. I would cut some scenes to make them a little shorter,
Right.
but I think that's just that storytelling in cinematic form has evolved over the years, and so our attention spans have been getting a little shorter.
Yeah.
No, that dragon fight scene was the longest scene in the entire movie.
Save for that one, which really just genuinely needed 20 seconds cut out of
I mean, it was like, is this over yet? And then someone else would come in, and it would get extended longer.
And the stakes were not very high, nor were they defined.
Well, it was just
and it was
like
a very confusing scene
we've
to
gone
watch.
into a cave, and now we're being attacked by a dragon, and now we've left the cave. And if we had not gone into the cave, this would not have been a problem.
You know, about that dragon, it's like, it's a machine, all right? And they cut out its eyes, and then it screams in pain. Right. So I assume the magician created a machine dragon thing. Why did he have to make it able to feel pain? It would have been so much better had it not been able to feel pain.
That scene was basically the scene from Star Wars where they're in the garbage chute, except the walls aren't closing in. So...
They're like, I mean, they could have just tried to get over to the stairs and left.
Right. And the other thing, too, is like the room is filling with water, but they could just swim to the steps and get out of the water, which they do.
Eventually,
yeah.
I mean, but they really didn't have to kill the dragon. They just had to fend it off.
So you would recut the movie?
I'd recut it a little bit. I would maybe get better actors or punch up the acting somehow.
Yeah.
Like if we could get better performances out of the same actors, that would be ideal.
You mean like pronunciation lessons?
Pronunciation lessons.
Emphasis lessons.
Everything.
Yeah.
They just need to act better.
It's a great city.
And then the last thing I would do was what we mentioned earlier, which wasn't on my list originally, but I think it's a good idea. This needs heavy metal 80s soundtrack.
Yeah.
It would do to this movie what Guardians of the Galaxy had going for it with its throwback retro.
Yeah. That would have been neat.
It would have been awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'm done. What do you guys think?
I think you're right.
I would have made it. I like the long drawn out shots like that. I like classical film in that way. I don't watch enough of it, but I do like drawn out cinematography. Yeah. I like drawn out cinematography, and they had a lot of really great wide shots and things. There was amazing scale to this movie. Great scale.
It felt big.
Yeah, it felt very large, which is in a very good way. I would punch the movie up to the next level of like violence and all of its themes and things. I would make everything. You would make everything first Conan. You'd make everything Conan the Barbarian level. Yeah, I would make everything much more. The violence would be more violent. Everything would be more graphic. Everything in that movie would just be more graphic, and obviously it would try to get better performances out of the actors as well, because that was just a low point of the movie. Mm-hmm. But I would give it that like mid '80s punch that they had back then. Those like dark practical effects from those days.
That reminds me of the moment where there is the rolling stone door.
Yeah.
And there was a gentleman that gets stuck under the door and rolled over. But it cuts away, so you don't see any blood. You just hear him not screaming.
We would not cut away from that.
Right.
And that kid would throw up.
And I was hoping for a big, nice, like, water balloon type blood coming out of that door.
I hear you,
did
man.
not happen.
Yeah, that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I would just...
Considering how much he was just going like, ah! Yeah, like he was really giving it his all, and we got no payoff for it.
Yeah, I would definitely punch up the general brutality of the movie,
to
make it really, because it's a barbarian film. It's in the Hyborian age. It needs to be a little more barbarian.
Yeah,
a little more Hyborian.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. There needs to be more heads rolling,
and maybe the warrior showgirls would be a little more warrior, a little less showgirl. With their costumes.
Oh, that's where you lost me.
I'm sorry, man. They can still be wildly sexualized.
No, dude, it's in the 80s. Their costumes stay the same.
No, I mean, they could still be wildly sexualized, but just not quite like a showgirl, maybe? I know we're in the 80s here. It's gonna happen, but still, we could kind of edge it towards the warrior bit instead of the showgirl bit.
Because obviously they were great warriors.
Yeah, the warrior thing really panned out for them. And that scene would have been so cool if it was way more violent. And it was already a really cool scene.
And also pretty violent.
Yeah.
I was actually unsure if there was blood in the movie until a ways into that scene.
Yeah, but I mean, that scene was probably the most violent scene in the movie.
Yeah, when you get 24 people on either side just hacking and slashing at each other.
Yeah, people getting stabbed. And like I said, the sword fighting in this movie is pretty barbaric.
It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, they're putting their weight behind every swing.
They're really trying, and it's good sword fighting.
Every single person in the movie is wielding a claymore except for Short Round.
Yeah, and I would bring the violence up to the level of the combat taking place.
Ian, you got anything?
Combine both.
Both mine.
Metal soundtracks, so graphic and violent.
Yeah.
Better
Can
acting.
we just make this movie?
Can we just make it as if it's an 80s movie?
Yes.
Just do it now. It wouldn't cost that much money if we're doing all practical effects.
You're supposed to make the practical effects. That's a lot of money, man.
Okay, so we're going to start a
Naysayer.
We'll do a Kickstarter.
No, we're not.
A GoFundMe.
Yeah, all few people who listen to this podcast will all put in a few dollars and nothing will come of it.
If we can get $1.5 million,
That's pretty low.
$3.5 million.
We'd have to film this in like Europe somewhere.
If we can get $5.5 million.
New Zealand would be good.
Well, I mean,
New Zealand would be kick-ass. If we
also,
got $7.5 million.
you get tax breaks. Tax breaks really help movies that film overseas, too.
Well, then you actually have to hire people and pay them.
If we can get $35 million
Just
from our 3 listeners.
clearly
10
we
listeners?
could. Okay, so we've said how we could make this movie great. Or well, we couldn't. Somebody could.
Great. So if you're a director and you are listening to this podcast and you think you could do it how we want you to do it, and you think you could
We would
find someone who
gladly-
would bother writing it,
We would gladly exec produce your movie for no reason.
I have to say, I think I have a new Powerball fantasy. If I win the lotto.
You're gonna make a good Red Sonja movie.
Yes.
I'll take
as
it.
if
Man.
it was
Directed
in
by
the
Quentin
80s.
Tarantino.
Directed by Quentin Tarantino.
He does violence well.
He does violence well. I don't know if he could do
Hyborian age.
Hyborian age violence.
That's
well.
why you're executive producing.
I would say, who would?
Yeah,
do it?
I'm going to walk up to Quentin Tarantino and go, no, Quentin, you should do it like this.
Q. Hear me out.
I'm pretty sure he'd say "F you" and then hit you in the face.
And call you the N-word.
Oh man,
Yeah, he's a nice man.
he's a really nice person.
So where would you put this in the list of the movies that we've seen so
Oh,
far?
Pretty near
high.
the top.
Oh man,
Like maybe right under Escape from New York.
L.A. We never watched
Escape from LA. They're the same movie.
When? So, okay. So last week I put Genesis above
I Frankenstein.
I Frankenstein and below. Oh, I don't remember what.
I put it below Steel.
Yeah. And this, I think Punisher is like at the top of my list. And I might have to put this like right under Punisher. Because, I mean, as dumb as the parts of this movie were, it was a joy to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like sitting somewhere around number 3 for me, I think.
Yeah, well, I don't remember all the movies, so maybe like 2 or 3.
My phone is dead, so I can't look up my official list today.
Oh, Dave.
I would put it above... It's clearly above the halfway mark.
Right.
So all the really crappy movies we've watched is just gone. So it's contending with things like Escape from L.A.,
Yeah.
Punisher,
Yeah.
Deadfall.
Oh, I forgot about Deadfall.
Deadfall's good. I think it'd be above.
It's above Deadfall.
I put Deadfall way up there because Nicolas Cage freaking out and saying "Viva la France" or whatever.
Yeah. And Charlie Sheen in that movie. was
Right.
awesome as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not as good as Deadfall.
Okay, fine.
But it's pretty good.
I agree. Okay, so
I'd
I
put
put
it
it somewhere around
above-
maybe number 4.
Yeah,
then.
I put it. Red Sonja is beneath Deadfall, but above Punisher, but it's a real close. Punisher's right on its heels.
I feel you.
Yeah.
So now what?
So now we come to the part where we talk about what is next. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have heard last week, this is our last episode of this season. Fear not, we're not done watching movies.
We're certainly not done watching movies, but we're also not a television network, so next season isn't going to start in the fall or anything like
Yeah,
that.
it's going to start next week.
Right, it's going to start next week, and the reason we did that was we felt like this was a pretty good run.
Yeah. Well, I think we decided like 15, 16 movies in a row. That's like a decent season length. And then you know, you can only get so far following the same actors. So you should if you skip over to another timeline, but that being said,
we have ideas.
yeah, we want to do themed seasons between these following actors' seasons.
Right, so we want to do a themed season, and we felt that our mini season of Daredevil went really well, and we're all very passionate about our comic book characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wanted to do a bad comic book character season where we're not necessarily following actors, but we're following different types of bad comic book movies.
It's more like a roll of the dice for this season.
Right. And that being said, we need to figure out what the next with the kickoff movie is.
I feel like it's a semi-easy choice because we do like to start seasons with a Nick Cage movie. So
yeah, you want to watch
we could
Ghost
start
Rider?
with Ghost Rider.
Oh, I hate that movie.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, did not like it.
Have you seen Ghost Rider 2?
No, I heard that one's better.
It's better, but it's
Some people
so much,
think it's better, some people think it's worse.
It got worse scores, but it's stupider.
It's more Nick Cagey.
Yeah, you would like it more.
I felt that
There's a ton wrong with it.
I'd like to take the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing and go through and watch Batman and Robin.
Oh, you know, I mean, well, I guess that's relatively fair since it is a new season, so we don't have to actually count it as following Arnold Schwarzenegger, since we did just follow Arnold Schwarzenegger to this movie.
Right.
It could be a cop-out.
Using a word that I hate now.
And that one is just such a terrible movie.
It is.
And I haven't seen it since I was a little kid.
And I can't find my list. I have a list of a ton of bad comic book movies that we were going to try and weed like 14 out of to watch.
I'd say 15.
14 or 15 out of to watch.
I would say that we should, at this point,
Just
maybe
figure it out as we go.
Figure it out as we go, but also maybe open this up to our viewers.
We have like one that
they've
cares.
If they've got recommendations, this might be a good place to do it.
Yeah. If you want to recommend us a movie, tweet us.
We are certainly not going to do it just because someone suggests it.
I know.
Suggested
We've looked up pretty heavily really bad comic book movies to make sure we get really bad comic book movies.
There are
Even
enough.
ones that are close enough to being comic book movies because they're based on Japanese manga, like Diver and Dragon Ball Evolution.
Those are some horrible movies.
Yeah, speaking of Dragon Ball Evolution, the screenwriter for that just apologized for that movie like 2 weeks ago.
Not like a week ago.
Like a week ago, like in a letter.
An open letter.
Yeah, like he's very sorry. So, yeah, it's
That-
bad.
But stuff like that. We're gonna just bad comic book movies, serious, and there are plenty of them. Mm-hmm. Plenty of bad comic book movies, and we might put up like a list of like the general movies we're looking at in the coming days. Yeah.
But each week we'll decide which one's next.
So that being said, which one is the first one?
I think we should go with Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin.
Let's just
Batman
do
and
it.
Robin, which has my junior high crush,
Ugh.
Alicia Silverstone, playing Batgirl.
Yep. All of which we bleeped out in the previous episode.
Yes. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
Did he
God,
really go with a Z there?
I really hate that movie.
Oh, it's so dumb.
Chill out, man. I can't wait. It's gonna be so good.
Well, like us on iTunes.
Don't forget to rate
or
and
Stitcher.
subscribe.
Rate and subscribe. And
DTLpodcast.com, at DTLPodcast on Twitter, and we occasionally check the hashtag DTLPodcast. You can see where we're going with the theme there.
All right, goodbye.
Woman, I have fought 177 men, and only one survives, and he has got no legs.
My goodness!
Do you dare to mock at Bright Hag?